rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah. We need to get verification from a couple of viewers that we're on. But we should be good to go.
We should just come up on our page, right?
I don't know. We're golden?
Oh, we got it.
Okay.
We got it
Perfect.
over there. Well, it's not coming up on mine.
Well, you're struggling. You're not supposed to go to your person.
That's right.
Yes.
There we go.
There, look at that.
Ooh, there we are. Okay. I
Look
don't
at
need sound.
fantastic. Here, put that right here so I can see.
Yeah, we got Tyler's phone going, my phone for questions. Just like to, we're going to talk for a little bit while people hop on. Thank you guys for joining us. Oh, I didn't know Tyler was unmuting us.
Nope.
Here in surround system.
Would never dream of it.
But yeah, we'll let a couple people hop on, and then we'll start chatting about Everett Bay Lodge here. First, we can kind of ramble about a couple other things.
We have lots of fishing stories to tell you about our couple days here, so we're excited about that. Very stoked about that.
We got our first question.
First question, who's that? Justin Glider?
Yeah.
He's on the lake too right now, so he should know all that's happening.
We're getting some people coming in.
Are we good?
Yeah. How many do we have on?
26.
Oh, okay,
26?
so 26
We'll get going.
We can 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start out. We wanted to start out and just talk a little bit about Memorial Day, because we just had Memorial Day this week, and Memorial Day is obviously to honor our fallen soldiers in remembrance. And Tyler's dad is a veteran, so obviously the military holds a close place in our hearts, and so we wanted to just chat a little bit about that. And we have some great giveaway packages, and 2 of our sponsors are associated with veterans,
Right.
and they agreed to give away some packages today, so we wanted to just talk for a few minutes about those. So I guess I'll start out with Freedom Baits. So Freedom Baits is a veteran-owned and operated company, and Freedom Baits is going to give away a prize package. Freedom Baits does soft plastics, mainly hand poured, small soft plastics. You guys have seen us use them in episodes. Every time they give us a new one, it outproduces the last one. So really, really good stuff. They got a lot of small stuff for ice fishing. They're coming out with some new stuff. So really phenomenal. It's awesome. So they're giving away a prize package. And so whoever the winner will be will just let us know who they are.
So ask questions.
Freedom Baits.
So you can win.
To be entered into the prize packages, you have to make comments or ask questions, that sort of thing.
Make comments.
So I did forget. So freedombaits.com. I'm just going to give
Freedom Baits with a Z.
With a Z. So it's freedombaitz.com. So that's our website. You can go check them out. And then the next one is Hero Fishing. So Hero Fishing, we had a live with them not too long ago. Hero Fishing is a nonprofit organization that supports all the heroes in your life, but this time we're going to focus on veterans. They take veterans on a lot of different trips. I think they just went on a salmon fishing trip on Lake Michigan, if I believe social media is telling me correctly. He's taken some veterans out to Idaho on Lake Cascade. So herofishing.org is their website. So go check them. Check out Hero Fishing.
There you go.
There we go. But they are going to be giving away some coffee and
T-shirt.
a t-shirt.
Yep.
So we have their coffee right here. So Tyler and I have been using their coffee for the last couple of
months.
months.
Is that in there, Matt? Can you see that on TV?
So Lake Cascade Gold. They do have another flavor. It's blue.
Central Sands.
The label's blue, but the Lake Cascade Gold.
Really good. Really good. This is really good coffee.
I just started drinking coffee when I turned 40. With my age, when I turned 40, I said I have to start drinking coffee because I drink way too much soda. So I just started drinking coffee, and I love this brew. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it too.
So I wasn't a huge coffee fan at all.
It's real good. And then we got Freedom Baits here. A couple of soft plastics. They have some new stuff that we can't share yet.
Make sure you're not sharing.
I'm not. Stuff. You know what? I gotta make sure that's all new stuff. Anyways, you guys have seen us use them.
Well, we use the Hellcat.
Hellcat. We use the Hornet,
the
Bonita Minnow, the Hornet. So you're gonna get a Sportsman's Journal kit. So it's a bunch of our favorite plastics. And we use all of them on TV. You will. They're gonna incredible. Slay the slabs.
Yes,
I like to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the Bonita Minnow we've used on several different species. So that's the really awesome prize packages from our 2 veteran focused sponsors. So we wanted to just touch on that because it is Memorial Day week.
Yes.
That is why we had a 3-day weekend, to honor our fallen and take a moment. And so we wanted to really feature those 2 just to start off. And then everybody should know, if you've been following us, you've been invited to the live, that we are sitting on the shoreline of Lake Vermilion right now.
Yes, we are. I can see the lake right there.
And it is warm.
Very hot.
Unbelievable with the weather.
Yeah.
I know you can't control the weather
How hot was it
at
today?
any time, but wow.
83. Daryl said 83 today.
It is like...
It's like July here.
I was just saying, it is like
August.
mid-July. It's crazy.
But
And
the fishing was
trees
fantastic.
are bloomed, and so we are very fortunate. We talked about Memorial Day. We talked about getting kind of the first shot at the fish.
Yep. And
it was completely a different expectation because the weather is not normally this warm.
Right.
But it worked out really well.
Right. We caught lots of walleyes. We'll get to that in a second. But we also tried for some panfish.
We did.
And we caught lots of crappies, and I was very happy with that.
We caught, we can name all the species we caught out of the lake. We caught perch, bluegills, crappies, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, walleye,
pumpkin seed. What did I catch that I was super stoked about?
Northern.
Nope.
No, we did catch northern.
Rock bass.
Yeah, and Tyler's favorite rock bass. Now, you know what?
How many is that? 9?
Yes.
Running out of fingers.
I'm going to throw out that. So Gordon is Tyler's dad, and he's a veteran. We talked about that. He loves catching rock bass.
He does.
So,
he thinks rock bass are the coolest thing.
And he's here with us on
That's what
trip,
happens when you live in Iowa for an extended period of time. Rock bass become exciting.
It was a solid fish.
It was a solid fish. Also, Northland Tackle, another veteran supporting company, is giving away a $75 tackle kit.
I'm going to scroll through the
comments. Go through the comments. Let's check them out. So, everybody, if you got questions, anything about fishing related, obviously, Lake Vermilion, Everett Bay, throw them out there. We'd love to answer them a little bit later. Debbie Hoffman is going to jump on with Sara. Yeah, she's excited. She's over there. She wants to come in right now.
What size are the northerns?
What? Oh my God! Who asked that question?
It's nothing to write home about.
To be honest with you, I don't know if I got one in.
Did it? It just broke you off.
I got broke off by 3 of them.
Did we? We saw them because they were like 18 inches.
Little snugglers.
Yeah. It's coming shallow.
So let's get started with our.
What's the best thing you use for black flies and mosquitoes?
Oh my goodness.
Good question. And how are the bugs? So everybody knows we're in northern Minnesota. Obviously, there's bugs. The bug hatch is a little out of control right now. It'll settle down. Yeah. It always does. But
the quick warm up has definitely had an effect on the bug hatch that's happening.
So I will throw out my tip, and I was reminded of my tip for bugs. So
my tip's gonna be way better, but go ahead.
So we're in Canada a lot, right? And for those of you that follow along, we manage a camp in Canada. We've been doing it for almost a decade.
This will be our 10th season,
And so I know better, but we came back to fish on Vermilion, and I wanted to go to Target because I haven't been to Target, and so I bought myself some new hairspray, and I was all excited, and I used my new hairspray. Big mistake. So best tip: use non-scented everything. Use non-scented body wash. Use I actually have specifically for fishing trips or for when we're up in Canada is non-scented stuff. I get Reagan non-scented stuff. I use non-scented. So non-scented shampoo, body wash, deodorant, as much as you can get non-scented. The bugs will mainly leave you alone. Yeah. And then just a dose of regular bug spray will be fine. I was not left alone a few days ago and reminded of my...
You messed up?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And Reagan was all excited about my mango flavored...
My tip is cigars.
Oh, yeah.
They work. They work. A little bit of smoke.
Terrible.
A little aura around your head the whole time. They don't bother you.
Do not listen to this.
Backwoods.
Health tips.
I like backwoods.
No.
I probably shouldn't be pushing tobacco products, but social sweets would.
Get your cigars at Target?
No, I do not shop at Target for my stogies.
Yeah.
Good question for Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl, you're in the running for some prizes. We forgot, and everybody's getting a Everett Bay hat. I got 3 of them to choose from, so they're going to be thrown in. So we're going to have 3 different prizes. Thank you to our sponsors. We're going to give those out randomly, I think, throughout the night.
Did you let Sara try for muskies? No, muskies opens on Saturday.
Saturday, right? So 2 days.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow. Muskie opens on Saturday. So.
But I think it's going to be a good muskie season. I really do. Warm up quick. Those fish are going to be hungry, metabolism high. Daryl's over there giving the big nod, so he's expecting big things on Lake Vermilion this year. Should we jump into our last couple days here?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Minnows or leeches working the best? That's a good question. How are the smallies? We actually did not target smallmouth.
No.
I caught one, but it was
So let's talk about leeches, minnows.
Would you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about the progression of what's going on with fishing and the water temps?
One will lead to the other. So when we got here, water temp was, what was it last week? Do you remember what it was last weekend, Daryl?
It was mid to upper 50s.
Mid to upper 50s.
I was going to say 58 to 60.
So today when we went out, it was 70 degrees, Main Lake.
When we pulled the boat out. We pulled the boat out before we did this. It was 74.
74 in Everett Bay, and Main Lake, which is the east side we're talking about, was 70 degrees. So obviously that surface temp.
Water temp is going, ice out was a couple weeks ago, water temp's going.
It's going through the roof. And surprisingly, I shouldn't say surprisingly, but obviously that temp is only the first couple inches, obviously in your transducer. That's what you're reading on your graph, so it's not showing what's 5, 6, 7, 8 feet down. That water's still cool down there. And all of our fish that we caught, and we caught big walleyes, we caught over the slot, we caught in the slot, and we caught tons of eaters, and all those fish were 9 to 11 feet.
Yeah.
And it was all
and
rocks.
everything else was shallower than that 11 foot. I mean, we sometimes had the boat positioned out a little bit further out, but everything that we caught was shallower than that. We did mark fish when we were coming up to our spots in 19 to 20, but I can ask Daryl, but I think there's probably fish that live in that 20 feet all year. That's where they live.
Yep.
So the fish that we wanted to catch, the bigger ones, and I'm talking big, like up to 28. Sarah got a big. I'm kind of pulling the cat out of the bag here a little bit, but she caught a dandy, and we caught several that were right in the slot. And then all of our eaters were perfect fish, 15 to 17 inches, and they were all mingled together, which was really cool to see. You catch a 17 incher, and then the next pitch out with slip bobber, it goes down, and you get a 28. That's a pretty sweet deal.
It was really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was awesome. I'm getting distracted a little bit by some of the comments.
Oh, well, let's hear some of them.
Oops, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Any issues with minnow shortages? Do we sell live bait at Everett Bay?
Yep. So
Everett, all up here.
We have it all at Everett Bay Lodge. They have 2 types of minnows. And there you got 2 separate minnow things. They got leeches, and they keep it stocked every day. Crawlers, they got crawlers. I'm looking over at Daryl's giving me the nod, so I don't say anything stupid. And they got ice in there, in their fish cleaning facility. It's all good. So they have live bait, and they have it pretty much till leeches are done, obviously. And you'll probably get minnows until the end, right?
Yeah.
And crawlers.
We'll have it fully stocked. We got a nice vendor from up north as opposed to down south.
Nice.
So we're getting
High
all
quality
that stuff.
Good.
No issues with the lack of bait that they've had down south.
So there you go. You heard it from the man. No lack of bait at Everett Bay, and
we saw a lot of bait fish, a lot of
pods of bait fish.
minnows in the
But that, the weird thing about that is everything we saw that was prey was in that 5 to 11 feet water column, even over deep stuff.
Yeah.
Those fish were suspended in that 11 foot range.
That's where the fish are. They're suspended.
Yeah.
And when we were marking fish over deep, they're suspended in the water column.
Right.
So that's where they want to be. They're finding their ideal temp and they're staying suspended in the water column. So somebody asked about crappies and what depth the crappies are at. So I'm guessing crappies are going to be. So crappies were coming shallow and getting ready to spawn. I'm guessing that they were getting ready to be finished and start heading deep again.
They were anywhere from 2 inches to 3 feet.
Yeah, 5 feet maybe.
5 feet, yeah.
But,
There were crappies on beds already.
Yeah.
So they do make beds. A lot of people don't know that about crappies, but they do make beds. And crappies like to make their beds kind of like bass, especially smallies. They put them in gravel, rocky areas. And we were seeing the males down there. They're really black. They get really beautiful black and iridescent color. And they're guarding the nest. And the females were in the sun, super shallow, soaking up the sun for their eggs. In
my opinion, what is happening, and it's going to be happening, across the north where we're seeing these 80-degree temps and this water, it's skyrocketing. So the fish are going from their neutral, iced out habits, and now all of a sudden the water temp is shooting up. Well, they have to go shallow and they have to figure out egg production and they have to get ready to spawn. So this is happening quickly, but it's not going to happen in the same pattern that you're used to. So we're used to crappies spawning in 50 degrees, right? That's what they're going to be. Well, the fish
missed it.
Yeah, they missed it. They came shallow when it shot up, and so the patterns that you're used to with certain water temps are going to be off. But those fish are going to figure it out, and then they're going to go back deep and they're going to recover.
There's a phrase that everybody uses in fishing called staging. They kind of skipped the staging part. They went from super cold. They started to move up, and usually they stage up in front of there for a couple days, and you can catch them pre-spawn. They went straight up to do their thing, and that's where they're at, and they're going to be done. They're probably some are done already.
Yeah. And
so there's going to be, for the big fish, there's going to be a little bit of recuperating time, like there's with every species. And
that's got to be some stress on those fish a little bit.
You're going to have super good weed growth, I think, is going to happen all across the Midwest, and then that's where fish are going to start putting themselves.
We saw some mayflies.
Oh, did we talk about? I don't know if Daryl wants us talking about that.
It is what it is. Right?
Yeah, we saw. I had a couple on my shirt, and we saw a couple yesterday. So I just want to say, mayflies do hatch in May.
Yeah. So somebody asked how we combat mayflies. Don't be afraid of the mayflies. No. Fish are eating. They're eating. Yeah. When the mayfly hatch is going on, they're eating. They know that it's time to gorge on the mayflies. We have seen. Some of the walleyes were spinning up
big balls of
mayfly larvae already. So don't be afraid of the mayfly hatch. Yeah. You're just going to have to adjust a little bit.
Right, and here's another thing that a lot of people might not know, but the mayfly, we were talking about this today. Mayflies are on the menu all year round.
They are.
The larva stages, when it's winter, they're down in the mud, they're moving around. Some of the mayfly larvae actually stays dormant as larvae for up to 7 years. So they don't all come up all together 1 year and then disappear, and then their eggs go down and start again. They're on the menu for fish 365, 24/7. So there's always mayflies in the system. And so basically you should have hope that if they're eating mayflies all year, you can catch them when there's mayfly, when the mayfly hatch is going on.
Especially right now, with the water temp shooting up, think of it like this. So fish with the water temp shooting up like that, fish's metabolism is skyrocketing. They have to eat. No matter what, they have to eat. So they're in an unusual weather pattern, but they have to feed to keep up with that rising metabolism.
And
so
especially panfish, they want to spawn. Smallies want to go do their thing. They're coming up. And the other cool thing for walleyes is it's post-spawn. So they're hungry. They're recuperated. They need to get energy back. Water temp's going up. And we found out this week that the walleyes on Vermilion were feisty. I'm going to look at Daryl for this question. Mayfly hatch on Lake Vermilion, you go straight to crawlers, I'm guessing.
I was just going to say, I saw that question come up, and absolutely, crawlers slow down on the bottom, similar to what you guys did when you were up last year on Labor Day.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can fish right through it. There's a common myth that you can't fish and catch fish during mayfly hatch. There's a lot, and it looks pretty obnoxious up here.
Right.
And usually first week in July, even second week in July with all the mayfly hatches. But you can fish right through that with the crawlers and do really well.
Right. So don't be discouraged about the mayfly. And that's anywhere in the Midwest. You guys can catch fish.
So some guys coming up in August, and someone else maybe is coming up in July, and ask what the patterns are going to be. So the most obvious answer is going to be when you get up here, talk to Daryl, and he will let you know what the patterns are, what's going on. Because obviously, with weird weather years and things happening, the fish change. But Daryl just said, once that mayfly hatches and they go to crawlers and bottom bouncers, and I think that's a pretty consistent bite.
So I think one thing that you talk about when you talk about warm weather that comes unexpectedly and sticks around like it has, it's 80s last week.
And it's in the forecast.
It's 80s this week, and it's going to be 80s next week. So you're talking about 3 weeks of above 70, which is probably above the normal for this time of year. And so everything's advanced. We see mayflies already in May. That's normally second week of July. So when you come to second week of July, you're looking at probably fish, mainly basin, mud flats.
Yeah, you'll be ice fishing.
You'll be ice fishing in September.
Yeah. At this rate.
However, you're going to be, that's like a August, September thing is trolling mud, main lake basin, probably happening in the second week of July, I'm guessing.
I always say, too, things kind of start to normalize here in the second, third week in June, no matter how spring starts out, if it's early, if it's late. This is really kind of out of whack with the high temperatures like you've been talking about. But I think things are going to start to normalize here a little bit. Fish are going to get in their normal patterns here. They're probably going to be in a July pattern for a little bit longer period of time, as opposed to just progressing all the way through.
That's a really good
So
answer.
it's going to be, and we were here in September, and it was hot, and the cool down hadn't came yet for fall. So I'm guessing the trolling bite will be good from end of June through end of season, probably. So you're going to be catching a lot of fish on spinners, crawlers. Sara did good on minnows last year, and a guy asked leeches.
Somebody asked. I have to leave and go back to our actual page.
Typically, early in the season, this is the second week, basically, of the walleye season, and I'd be a minnow guy. Just because water's cool, that's what they're feeding on, that's their main forage. But because of the heat up, when it gets warm, I like to go 65 degrees, I like to go to a leech. And I know crawlers is a huge deal up here on Lake Vermilion, but I'm a minnow than leech guy, so the leeches, that's what we did with the slip bobber rig, and we tore them up. It's really tough for walleyes to pass up a leech in front of their face on a slip bobber for a long time. If it's sitting there, they're going to eat it eventually.
When the fish are more active during their active periods, which are fewer and far between, they just chow on those rainbows big time.
Yeah.
But like you said, during those inactive periods, anything on a slip bob or even a drop shot, sitting there, it has to sit in front of them and cross their eyes before they'll do anything, and it takes a while.
Right, and we had our Mega Live out there, and it's pretty amazing to see the fish's reaction because we could see where they're at. We found them, first of all, with it, and we'd cast to it, and you could see your leech go past the fish in the zone, and it would be there for a little bit. You're like, oh my gosh, they're not hitting it, and then you would see one out of the group come up, and you would see him move up in the water column, and it's like, oh, get ready, and then sure enough, that bobber would go down. So it's pretty sweet. Electronics are good to find fish, but you learn a ton about their habits and their reactions to what you're doing, either right or wrong. So we depend a lot on our electronics, but it helps put fish in the boat.
You should also point out, Tyler, your comment that you told me the other day about not going over the fish. You got to cast to them so you don't spook them. You guys saw a lot of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is a good point. And we talked about that a lot in the episode, which will air in winter. But so Daryl said, talk about not going over the fish and not spooking them. So we're on Lake Vermilion. Lake Vermilion is world famous.
Over Memorial Day.
We're here over Memorial Day, and it's 80 degrees. What is everybody doing? People are out tubing,
jet skis are out.
There's a ton of boats out there. The fish are conditioned on lakes like this, and not just Vermilion, but they're conditioned to stay away from boats. And you can watch them on the live. You can watch them when a boat would come in the vicinity of us. They could hear the motor, and they would just either hug the bottom or they'd kind of scatter off.
They go off the break.
They go off the break, and then they'd come back.
They go off the deep end. That's what you're going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say that right now. But then they would come back. So boat positioning, and we talk about this in episodes a lot, but boat positioning is huge, especially on these lakes where these fish are conditioned to stay away from boat traffic or from human activity. And they're shallow right now. They're shallower. And so we were staying out. I mean, we were casting. So somebody asked what the best technique is. That's what I have.
And I'm going to show. I brought the rig that we use.
So we were using slip bobbers. So, but we were casting out, trying to cast out 30 to 40 feet away from the boat to keep away from the boat and to not alert those fish that we were there. And we sat in a spot for a long time. You had to have patience.
The other thing
in fact, I'm going to just make fun of our camera guy just a smidge. He's smiling at me. But he said, I don't have the patience to sit and use a slip bobber. So, so when you're slip bobber fishing, especially under some of these conditions, you do have to remind yourself, okay, I have to be a little more patient. And if you're marking fish, or if you know you're in the right zone, just give it a little bit extra.
He might not be our camera guy anymore after you threw him under the bus.
Come on.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Right
Sorry, Matt.
So look, we did the most simplest slip bobber rig you can do. So we're using Northland Tackles Light Bite slip bobber. And the big thing about the slip bobber that we like, I know it's a bobber, right? So how much can you talk about a bobber? But that grass, sorry, I say this all the time, brass grommet. She's a piece. Wow. Brass grommet on top that keeps line wear down. So that Northland Light Bite bobber has that on there. Makes your bobber slide really super easy.
You can see, you probably can't see because it's not zoomed up, but you can see that this bobber has been used.
Yeah, it's losing a little bit of paint. It went down under the water.
But that brass grommet keeps it.
It's huge, yes. The other cool thing is we use the weighted bobbers, and that all goes to Sara, what she was talking about high pressured fish, spooky fish, and these fish out here are shallow. And I want to say something. I had the AquaView down in 18 foot of water, and I could see plain as day. So the sunlight penetration is getting down there, and those fish can see a lot further than you think. This side of Vermilion is not crystal clear, but it's not dirty. We talked about this with Daryl. It's stained water. But you got sunlight, which we had this week, and you're going to have it coming up. The fish can see. They can get spooked. They know what's going on. So that weight on the end of the keel on these bobbers, we used the weighted series, you can fling these. We were flinging them 50, 60 feet out there. And that was key to us getting the fish. Well, the farther you throw them, the hook sets got a little tougher because of how far out they were.
And sometimes they get tangled in the light hook.
And then we had a number, I think it's number 5, split shot. That was it.
Looks like it's ready to fall off.
That one's it's twisted up. Oh. You must have been rough with this one.
Oh, yeah.
This is your rod.
That was me.
And then we had number 2, light bait Gamakatsu hook, and a little bit of color on there, chartreuse paint on there, but that paint stayed on there. We had same hook all week, never lost any paint on the hook.
No.
Now, Daryl said when I came in, he asked what we catch them on, and he's like, no bead? And I said, we didn't use a bead this time, but you can throw a bead on there for a little more color. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. It's slip bobber, split shot, hook. That's how you grew up as a kid fishing.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
We can talk about our line.
Sure, talk about the line, you bet.
So Tyler and I are using P-line, mono, And the reason that we're using mono on our slip bobber rods is because, where is it?
You're looking for the knot?
Yeah, it's down in the reel. But because we use the nylon bobber stock, and so you're able to slide that up and down the line. And especially in conditions like this and going forward from today as the fish continue to drop off. So you might go out in the morning and fish might be in 10 feet of water, and then in the afternoon they're going to drop off into 15.
Right.
So you need to be able to adjust your bait, what depth you want. And so that's why we're using mono on that. And I really like the line. I thought it worked
good
really
cast,
well.
smooth.
Came off the reel really well.
And it was really tough. No abrasion, but the thing I liked about it, it's got a little bit of stretch in mono. I like that, especially if you get a big fish on, like we did, because we were using 6-pound test, so it's light line. We're talking about that with finesse fishing. Sarah and I are finesse fishermen all the way through. We'll go light before we go heavy all the time, pretty much. But you got a little bit of stretch in mono, so if you get a big fish, it gives you a little bit of cushion, so you're not pulling hooks, because those hooks are not big, and it's a single hook. So keeping a fish pinned is the utmost importance. Mm-hmm. And I, for sure, did not lose a fish. Sarah might have lost one.
That's a lie.
No?
Anyways, someone asked if Lindy rigs are good under the conditions that we are, minnows or crawlers. You can use Lindy rigs. I would say you can absolutely use Lindy rigs. I would say where we were fishing,
you're gonna get lots of snags.
And so Lake Vermilion is huge, and typically it's a troll. They're in the mud flats and working the mud flats. We were working rock humps, so those humps aren't huge pieces of structure. Right. So you're gonna go and turn around and sort of thing. So you can absolutely use Lindy rigs. It's slow. It's finesse. It's live.
The thing is though, if where these fish were located, the big thing is you would have to go on top of these fish, and that's not going to happen with what we witnessed the last couple of days. You can Lindy rig over, but that means your boat goes over top of them first. And when that happens, they skedaddle.
If they're not coming back.
And so the slip bobber for this technique and what these were experiencing was, I don't want to say it was the only way to go, but it was definitely the best for us. So Lindy rig is probably better when those fish drop off that really jagged rock stuff. Other things you're going to get snagged all the time because you're bumping bottom. So when those fish go to that transition from that rock to that muck or sand, that's when the Lindy rig is probably going to be phenomenal, tough to beat.
And I know there were some questions about boat rentals and prices.
Oh yeah, well let's get to that.
Do you want to?
We'll do that with Debbie when she's ready.
We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see. Someone smallmouth is smallmouth fishing good on Lake Vermilion?
Okay, I'm gonna handle this one. I'm looking at it right now. So Debbie, this is probably gonna come in glows about this. She has
we can pick that up and move it.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. Daryl or Debbie will have to grab it off the wall. But there's
the camera.
Oh, the camera. Yeah, you can do that. There's a 23. Let's take a look at this fish.
If you didn't insult your cameraman, he would have done that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, so that was caught off of a dock right across from Everett Bay. 23-inch. How much did it weigh? 7 something?
7 pounds.
7 pounds. That is a beast.
That is an incredible.
And I don't want to say, but I think she caught on a slip bobber. Or no, am I wrong about that?
No.
It was a slip bobber in one hand and a beer in the other, watching the sunset.
That's the only way to catch 23-inch smallies.
That's awesome.
With the crawler that dug up in the yard.
With the crawler, that's why.
That's
organic.
Why. Yeah, it's from the area.
Yeah,
Local crawler.
Called on a crawler from their yard. How phenomenal is that?
Yeah. So yes, there
are
very
huge smallies in here. Yeah.
Very good smallmouth fishing here. And I caught one when we were here in Labor Day, not targeting them. It was a really nice fish.
Well, that's what's cool about Lake Vermilion is it's the furthest south Canadian shield lake, right? So it's beautiful. It has the Canada feel for sure. But the other cool thing that we like about it is you're not out in the middle of the boonies. You can go to a restaurant. You can go do something in town if you want. But the cool thing about it is when it comes to fishing is that it's got, well, we talked about 9. We didn't catch a muskie. So 10.
Right.
And I'm sure we're missing a couple
fish.
fish
We did see some
there.
in the shallows.
But they have 10 different species of fish that are highly sought after on one body of water, and you can take advantage of it.
And when we went out and targeted panfish, and it was kind of a tough bite because the crappies were,
looking to do other
starting
things
making beds how many fish did we catch that day? 200? I mean, we caught so many panfish.
I am kicking myself a little bit that we should have kept some of those bluegills because I'm not going to have bluegills too many more chances this year.
No.
Some of those gills were super nice. Pumpkin seeds were big too, so yes, very good fishing, and it's got great diverse species.
No, just come up with the attitude that, so Lake Vermilion has it all, and you get trophy fish, you get action oriented fishing, but just come up with the attitude kind of that you're going to be flexible for whatever week you show up with what's going on, because those fishing conditions change, and it might not be what you're used to, especially and I can talk about this a little bit as a resort person who manages a resort, that you come up with people who've been using the same consistent technique. Well, for example, Memorial Day this year is 80 degrees and the water temp is unusually high. So you might be used to fishing certain spots with certain techniques on that certain time frame, but weather conditions are going to dictate what's going on with the fishing. So just be a little bit flexible with that, and you're gonna catch fish out there.
Yeah. So bring a lot of Kramer custom rods is what you're saying.
And Freedom Baits.
And Freedom Baits and Northland Tackle.
Yeah,
and all that
absolutely.
Stuff. Very important. Should we give a prize away? I think we should. Which one do we want to do? We'll do the Hero Fishing one first. That's their coffee. He's going to throw in some t-shirts, and we're going to give you Everett Bay ball cap. Do I get to decide which one they get?
Matt, are you picking?
We're going to do this one.
Can you see all the comments? Because I cannot.
Yeah, I can.
We're going to give you the Everett Bay. What color is it, Debbie? Burnt orange?
Burnt orange.
I like that. That's very nice, yes. So who are we going with? You just got to go blindfold, pick one.
Yep, I just scrolled.
Dave Kvindlog?
We don't know how to say your last name, Dave. Kvindlog.
It's an awesome last name.
It's either
Go ahead.
Kinlog or Vinlog. The K is silent or the V is silent, I'm going to say. But, so Dave, you just won Hero Fishing package.
Facebook message Sportsman Journal TV. Give us your info. We'll pass it along. So congratulations and awesome.
All right.
What else you got on there for?
He said the V is silent.
Oh, he did? Okay, cool.
So
Hopefully we
Kinlog.
didn't butcher it too much. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to talk about...
Well, why don't we bring Debbie in and we can talk about Everett Bay and we talk about what's new, and then we can answer some of the resort questions and what the summer is looking like.
Okay.
And
We can. Debbie, I'll get out of this. You can come in by Sarah. Do you want me to take over the question thing or not? Okay. You gotta introduce her now.
All right. So Debbie Hoffman is owner-operator of Everett Bay Lodge, and she's going to come in. We can talk about what's new for this season.
Well, we've got a lot of new things. We have a new cabin.
I'm excited. I want to go look at it.
Yes. So we are renting out a new cabin. It's cabin number 11.
Sweet.
And it's renting out on Saturday, so we're real excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. We've also done some remodels to some of the cabins. We've got some new appliances, new floors.
Oh, that's fun. It might not sound fun, but it is fun, right? When you come into a cabin and you have a nice floor, new appliances, it's always nice.
Yeah, yeah. So we're making changes as we go.
Awesome.
Adding some new things. So
Internet.
So that's exciting. Oh yeah, we've got a new internet system, a mesh network. Daryl's been working on that, so our internet is faster, more reliable.
It's been phenomenal.
It's phenomenal,
Yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. We've got some new TVs in the cabins. Again, may not seem like a big deal, but
It is, absolutely.
they're much bigger. Roku TV.
I can't say that we enjoyed it, but I bet you Reagan and Papa did. They were in the cabin, so yeah.
On Roku TV, you can tune into all the streaming channels. It has Sportsman's
There we
Journal
go.
on it.
Yeah, Daryl just gave us a shout out. Yeah, Roku.
Exactly.
Yes, you can find us on the KOTV app
Thanks,
on
Daryl.
the Roku. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so those are some of the changes. I'm sure there's a few more that I'm not thinking about.
So how is your summer looking up? Are you guys full all summer? Do you have some weeks people can pop on the website and see what to fill in and
Yep, so our availability is current on our website, everettbaylodge.com. June and July are pretty much booked. I may have a couple weeks here and there in our new cabin that I mentioned.
oh,
cabin
there we go.
11.
Yes.
August, I do have some openings, and September.
Perfect.
So if you're looking for later in the summer or some fall fishing, we do have some availability. Our cabin size range from a 5-bedroom cabin that accommodates up to 14.
Wow.
We've got 2-bedroom cabins, and we've got a couple 1-bedroom that accommodate
Awesome.
2 guests. So we've got a wide range of cabin sizes. So check us out for August and September.
Absolutely, yeah. And keep checking up. Things change sometimes, so if anybody wants to come June, July, don't give up. Keep checking.
Exactly. Give us a call. You can either check the website or call us, and we'll walk you through the process. I think there was a question about boat rentals.
Yes, yep. Somebody asked. I think the question was, do you do short stays? So 3-4 day stays. So we can answer that, and then boat rentals and.
Did you see it on your deal?
Yeah. So as far as a short stay, we do short stays in May, and then the latter part of September.
Okay.
3-night minimums. But when we go June, July, and August, we're really doing. You arrive on Saturday afternoon, and then you depart the following Saturday morning.
That makes sense.
So those are 7-night stays.
You wouldn't want to come up for less. The fishing is phenomenal. You're not going to want to leave.
And there's so much to do.
There is.
Either on the lake or in town or just around the property. Yeah. We do have a swimming pool. And we do have a game room, a sauna.
We all need.
So there's lots of activities to do here on the property as well as fishing.
Reagan is with us, so she's our 5-year-old daughter. They have a playground. Reagan hit that up immediately when we got out of the truck.
So did Tyler.
Tyler did too. Tyler went down the slide, yes. He was the first one down. And then Reagan and Papa were playing some sort of pirate game, and the game room was involved in that. I'm not quite sure. We have first mate and the captain.
Yep. And a lot of R.
Yeah, a lot of R.
A lot of mutiny.
So lots of stuff to do. So they were both entertained all week. And
we have a comment that's from another Hoffman about new swag that you guys have. That's new.
New swag, yes. We have a lot of swag. Our new apparel is a partnership with Striker Brands. So we've got the latest and greatest fishing shirts. Some have hoods, some have the net gator that you can remove or keep on.
I think those are the Alpha Burrs and the graveyard shirts.
Yep. And the high tide.
And the high tide, okay.
Yep, so we've got all 3 styles. It's co-branded Striker with Everett Bay Lodge.
They look really nice. I'm looking at them now.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of those and t-shirts and hats. So when you come stay with us, you can get your swag as well. I'll go back to the boat rentals. Yes. We do also have boat rentals. We've got a couple Alumacraft Voyagers. We've got a couple classics and a pontoon. So if you're coming up with the family,
that's nice.
We've got a pontoon that you can rent. So we do have plenty of boat rentals. And we do sell gas here as well. So you can rent from us and you can fill up your personal boat as well as your rental boat here.
And the boat launch is right there, like very, very close, very convenient. Docking system is really nice. We're in a protected bay. Got electrical outposts at every dock. I'm just verifying, but I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
I didn't want to misspeak, but yeah, electrical posts at the end of every dock. There's a garbage can set up really well for your anglers. Our dock was right in front of our cabin. A couple are set up that way. Last time we were a little bit further back, but the docks were really nice and everything worked out really well. And so you can, I as a boat owner and as a camp runner, we get a big question about the docks and the boat launch and all of that, and your boat will be well taken care of.
Yes. Daryl has done a great job with building up the dock system, and we've got a lot of friends and family that come up and help us get them in time. So big shout out to everyone who helps us with that.
Yeah, that is helpful.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, so boat rentals, you can probably check all that stuff out on the website.
Absolutely.
Cabin availability, everettbaylodge.com. Go visit, go check them out. It's a great location on the lake. We're in a protected bay, so the boats are safe on the dock. We don't have anything to worry about. And then fishing is literally a 2-minute drive. There's fish out in the bay, I'm sure. Yeah, we saw people fishing in the bay.
We saw a couple of guys for short. We saw them catch them out in the boat.
Yeah, and Gord, Tyler's dad, said, those guys were out there fishing yesterday, so he was keeping a keen eye on.
Yeah,
he was giving us spots.
So somebody asked the question. Debbie will know. How's the fishing in fall around Vermilion Lake?
Yeah, fishing is it's actually great all year round. Daryl can help out with
Chime in,
this
Daryl.
question.
Well, we were here for Labor Day, so I can talk about
I was just gonna say, Labor Day, you guys were here. That's when the perch all congregate and get really, really big, and the muskies are moving around, and
of
course the walleyes, So and it's a lot of fun. The fall colors up here later on in September is something that you don't want to miss if you've never seen it.
And not everybody loves the heat, so if you're somebody who likes it a little bit cooler, northern Minnesota in September, you're going to get sometimes the weather is not as nice, but sometimes you can get nice during the day and that cools off really nice in the evening.
You've got fireplaces in all the cabins, stay nice and warm in there.
Yeah, so I think September is a great time up in the northern part of Minnesota, and we had a really good time when we were out fishing for walleyes over Labor Day. We did not target anything else that trip, but I really am planning on a muskie trip in fall, so we'll see how that goes. But,
over here. You're your own person.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a little bit more to talk about on our end about how we experienced the fall fishing, but I would say it was really good. And we were here over Labor Day, and there were boats. I mean, there are boats over the weekend, but there was always a spot to go and fish. Absolutely, the lake is huge. There are always spots that you can go and fish and find fish. It's not there's not only one spot that all the boats go to. It's spread out, and so it was really good time to fish in fall.
David Allen wants to know how the perch fishing is in the fall.
Perch fishing is awesome. Like I was saying, they start grouping up. We've got a couple of spots. They're tremendously large. I think the perch are starting to eat some of the crayfish even.
Oh, yeah.
But they definitely gorge on those mayflies, and they look like largemouth bass.
I think they hang out in the mud a lot throughout the season.
Speaking of the crayfish, Tyler calls them crawdads.
Crawdad.
We talked about what we caught. Tyler caught a couple of those.
Yep.
I caught
2 crawdads.
Yeah.
That's species 10 on my slip bob.
He let one go. He released it. Well, he had to dip it in the water, and it let go. Yeah. And then the next cast, he caught another one, and he said maybe it was the same one. He wanted that leech so bad.
He would not let go of leech. No. Everything's eating
so
leeches.
Perch fishing is really good in fall as well.
When we came in the fall last year, we caught a 13.5-incher and several 12s, and that was trolling harnesses. So if you actually targeted perch, took the time to fish for perch, I think you'd be very happy.
Yeah.
And what's the limit on perch?
What is the limit?
20?
So, maybe don't quote us on it, but
check the rules. But I mean, 20, 13-inch perch, if you can get on them, you're going to be pretty satisfied.
You don't need 20 of those perch. No. You can have a fish fry and enjoy yourself. And somebody asked about some more of the fish on the walls.
Well, the perch.
They want to see the perch.
Don't have any perch.
Are you open for ice fishing?
No, we are not. We close the first weekend in October, and then we open back up for the Minnesota fishing opener. So we're closed down for the winter. Good question.
Yeah, ice fishing is that's what everybody wants to talk about in the 80s. People, 80-degree weather, people are looking forward to ice
Another
fishing.
question was, how's the muskie fishing on Lake Vermilion, and what's the outlook looking like?
Outlook for what?
Muskies this year.
So I have never targeted muskies. Maybe Debbie can. I know Daryl can answer that question, but it's a world famous muskie.
It is.
So there's a lot of pressure on muskies here. You've got the live scope phenomenon or trend going. So muskie fishing is changing a little bit on how people are doing it. You can find them, you can see them. They are high pressured. Some of these muskies here on this lake, I would even say, are becoming more educated with the pressure.
Reading a study on that, how muskies actually are becoming educated on if they're caught, they learn what not to bite, and then they will be harder and harder to catch.
Well, they're not that smart because they don't travel in schools, but
we're doomed then.
I know.
The one thing too, I will say though, we've got a very high density of muskie population in this lake as well. So you always see them. They're always around this time of year when they're coming off of spawn, and people are fishing for bass with crankbaits and things like that. You see a lot of them caught. But in the fall, in the late fall, you cannot beat catching these muskies. They are just pigs.
Pressure has kind of dropped off a little bit.
The other thing is it's a Cisco Tulby Lake.
I was just going to say, it's Cisco Tulibies, you throw them big rubber, and they're huge.
A reasonable expectation of, it is a big lake, and it is, like Daryl said, highly pressured with muskies, but when you catch one, you're going to get a really nice muskie.
Chances are high.
That you're going to have a really, really nice one, so I guess have that reasonable expectation. It could be a grind.
Well, let's throw out old Dave Schuick real quick.
Huge muskies are here.
Sunset Glow Guide Service. He's going to be here pretty much every week starting when?
Starting Sunday, he's here every week doing a dock talk, and he's doing the latest and greatest. He's out there every day. He scouts before every trip, and he's willing to come in and share all that information with our guests.
Huge.
We got to know Dave pretty good, and he's a good dude.
So Dave Schuick, Sunset Glow Guide Service, comes in and does basically a little bit of a seminar at Everett Bay weekly. Daryl just said starting Sunday, so starting this coming week, every week he's going to be in, and he is out on the water all the time, constantly.
Multi-species.
Daryl just said every day he's scouting before he takes people out, and he's sharing his knowledge of what's happening every week throughout the summer. So it's on Sunday.
Yep.
So you check in on Saturday. On Sunday, you're getting a seminar from a guide that's out there every day giving you tips.
That's awesome.
and
that's worth a lot of money.
That's huge.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then you get to go and do what he said the rest of the week.
Or call Dave, hire him, go on a trip with him. Especially you're talking about muskie fishing. I know that if you're going to go out by yourself, and if it's your first or second time here, especially, you're going to expect to grind it out. But you can hire a guide, and they can help you eliminate some of that water, or let you know what's going on, or what the hot bite is. But that's very valuable to have here at Everett Bay Lodge. Once a week, you get to talk to a guide that's out on the water every day, and they're going to give you he's going to give you tips and all that and what's going on, and it's really going to narrow down your margin of error and cut out a lot of water that you don't need to go and try things out at, because he's going to help you out with that. So that's huge. That is huge. Yeah, that's a good point. We did want to bring up Dave. Yes. Yeah. What else we got?
Are you open all year round?
Answered that one.
Last Labor Day, my wife and I caught a tiger muskie, beautiful fish, from Luke Ernst. I don't know if he stayed here or not.
I was hoping that Reagan was going to come in. She is all dolled up in her Everett Bay t-shirt. So she changed for the live. But her and her first mate, Papa, were cleaning up after dinner, and then they had big plans, and then they were going to come in, but she hasn't made her way in yet.
Good question from Corey Scow. Is it a private launch or open just to get? Is it a private launch or open to non-guests? That's a great question.
Yeah, good question. So the landing that we use, it's a DNR public landing. So it's open to anyone, and our guests use it. So it's maintained well.
It's very maintained. Very well maintained.
Yep. So it's a great
parking there.
Yeah. You can
plenty of parking.
Turn around. It was. I mean, we've done a lot of launches, and we were able to launch and load very easily.
Yeah, it was
very
nice.
Very nice.
Freedom Baits giveaway. Let's do it.
Didn't we already do Freedom Baits?
Nope, we did Hero Fishing.
We did Hero Fishing. Okay, I'm losing my mind. So Freedom Baits. So we're gonna we don't have to show that one. So
it's gonna be SJ TV.
Pick a hat. Which one are we
gonna
get?
And a hat. Yep.
So this one. All right. So we're gonna do the black Everett Bay hat, and then the Freedom Baits kit is gonna be the Sportsman's Journal soft plastics kit. I know the Hellcat's in there. I can't even remember off the top of my head because we use some of the new ones coming out right now, and those are the ones.
Hellcat, Hornet.
The Hornet.
Bonita Minnow.
The Bonita Minnow, yes. Okay, so
Apache, secret Apache bait, but Apache small one, but not the small one. I probably get trouble.
Yeah.
They're all sorts of good baits. Go on the website, you can take a look at it.
Check out their website. So Freedom Baits, BAITZ.com, freedombaits.com.
Yeah.
You can go check out all their soft plastics. We have not found one that we don't like, honestly, and you can pull off little fingerings and make a variation on your own on what's going on. So many different colors, really, really great baits. So with the Everett Bay hat,
Scott Nordmo.
Scott Nordmo.
Scott, he's coming up and visiting us in a couple weeks. So, Scott, you got a black hat that you look awesome in.
Scott, we're gonna hold your hat. We're gonna hold your hat for you here. That works out perfect.
Send us tell Scott to send us his address to us.
But send your shipping information to Sportsman's Journal. Sportsman's Journal Messenger.
Holy cow. Should know that.
It took me a little bit to get that out. And then we'll pass that along to Freedom Baits. They'll be sending out your kit. That's awesome. I don't know.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Do we have any other questions?
I'm looking.
I got my water down here, but I haven't even cried.
Sunset Go Service, the Lodge Everett Bay located directly next to the resort. Okay, so he's on top of that. That's Dave on top of that.
And it's really important to stay hydrated in 80-degree water out on the 80-degree weather out on the water, and wear your sunscreen. Wear your sunscreen. That's my big tip of the day.
Here's a question. This is a really good question from Michael Gold. I don't know if he was a guest here or not. He said that he fished last week almost 100 fish in a day, which is awesome. He said never caught one bigger than 17. What do I need to do different to find big fish?
Good question. So a lot of times the big fish are smarter than small fish. The big fish are going to transition faster than the smaller fish. So if you're during a transition time frame, anytime it's a transition, and especially right now, you're going from ice to spawn, post spawn, all those transitions. The big fish are going to transition first. They're going to know what ideal water temp they want to be in before the small fish are. So if you are on a school of small fish, the big fish have probably already transitioned, and big fish a lot of times will not school up like they do with the small fish. But they're probably not going to be too far away. But you'll find when we were marking fish in 20 feet of water, those are going to be your smaller walleyes.
Those are all dakes.
Those are going to be usually the immature fish that aren't spawning yet, that we're seeing in that 20 foot of water right now, because the big fish are spawning. They're post spawn now. But so those big fish are going to be on different transition lines, I would say. So the big fish that we caught, they're coming up on top of humps, and then they're smart enough when that sun gets high enough that they're going to start dropping down the water column, or they're going to start suspending over deep water. They're just going to get away from that. A lot of times the big fish will suspend over deep water during the day, and then they're going to come up during feeding windows. We talked about it actually in the boat this week. There's a myth that walleyes are going to go from 9 feet of water on top of a rock hump, and they're going to drop down to 40 feet. Most of the walleyes are not going to do that. And the reason for that is that that pressure in the water, and the barotrauma. So fish need to adjust. So they will take their time and start going deep, but if they find their ideal water temp, they're going to stay at that. They find their ideal water temp, and right now, walleyes like 65 degrees. They don't hate 65 degree water temp, so they're going to stay where that 65 degree water temp is. If they can find that at 9 feet down, then they're just going to move deep and suspend. So if you're marking fish up on top, what I would say is you want to just kind of move back a little bit deeper, further out, and see if you're going to mark suspended fish. They're not going to be grouped up with the same size of those small fish.
I have not a whole lot to add to that. Here's a good question from Kurt Duggle. Favorite baits for smallies on Vermilion? Now that's a question for Debbie.
So
Debbie, what's Debbie's favorite bait for big smallies?
Kirk is another guest, by the way. He's just here.
Oh, well,
slip bobber on a
here.
trawler.
Exactly.
September.
I think we're getting kind of a pattern here. I think slip bobbers are tough to beat on Lake Vermilion. Am I wrong?
There's a right bait for every different technique and getting at them. Smallies, yes, she caught them on a slip bobber, but you use crankbaits and Ned rigs and all the other good stuff. That's what's going to get them.
Right now it's going to be casting.
I mean, right now for the walleyes, you said it. It's a vertical presentation, and it's a finesse deal.
Yeah.
Give it a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe tomorrow, the way things heat up, who knows? But
that water temp.
Next week, in the next 2 weeks, the bass are going to turn on. They're going to be on their beds. They're going to be spawning. Mm-hmm. We've got guys that come up here and just kill them with crankbaits all day long. 100+ fish a boat every day.
That's awesome.
Crayfish looking cranks, orange pumpkin seed type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's squeezing in?
That's awesome. So yeah, it's just gonna depend on kind of what time of year you're coming, and water temps and all the specifics on that. But talk to Carol, talk to Dave. They're gonna know what's going on.
If you want big smallies, talk to Debbie.
Yeah. Debbie's got the brain. bragging rights on that one.
I talk to her every day, and I don't have one of those.
That's because she knows you'll run with her secrets.
Yeah. She doesn't need to share with you.
I just started muskie fishing. What are the best baits to start with?
Really, really good question.
Yep.
So I have two separate answers for that. If you already know how to use a bait caster, I would say a bucktail. Bucktail is going to cover water. It's lightweight. It's universal bait. You can fish it over deep water. You can fish it shallow. A lot of muskies have been caught on a bucktail. Tried and true number 8 bucktail. If you are just learning how to use a bait caster, then you're going to want to go with something a little bit heavier so you don't get a lot of backlashes, especially if you're casting into the wind. Depends on obviously as the season progresses, but I really like a weighted suic. That's a really good bait. It's a little bit heavier to pull your line through so you're not getting as many backlashes. But a bucktail is really something that, and bucktails are easier to learn how to figure eight. Some of those baits, like a stick bait, that suic, that's hard to figure eight. That's going to be a little bit more challenging, because you got to keep your rhythm going. You got to keep your turns going. And a bucktail is something that you can learn. You can learn to do a circle. You can learn to do a half J, until you really get into it. But make sure you're not reeling all the way up to your leader.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
Leader.
like
Swivel.
Yeah, make sure you're not clicking your eyelet up to your leader when you're doing your figure eights. That's a thing. And then another thing was when you first start muskie fishing. I did this all the time, super guilty of it. Tyler was really understanding it at first, and then got really frustrated with me. But keep your reel moving. Keep whatever pattern you're doing going. You start to see, depending on if you're using a bucktail or if you're using topwater or whatever, you can see the muskie behind you. And I would always get really excited. I'd take my hand off the reel and go, big fish. Well, guess what my bucktail did? And fell, and then the fish swam off. So keep your reel going. Keep your bait moving. Don't clank your eyelet up to your leader. I think those are some really good things to.
Don't forget to figure the 8.
Yeah, figure the 8. We had a friend who had a story. A Frenchman came over and they took him muskie fishing. And he brought his bait up and came out of the water, and this muskie came shooting up out of the water after his bait. And he said, "Oh, I forgot to figure the 8." So that's something we always say. Yeah.
Good question here from Weston Pauling. How is boat control on the big water? Is there usually a lot of wind across Vermilion? I would have to go with there's always a spot you can get out of it.
So, I can talk for the times that we've been here. There's a lot of islands on Lake Vermilion.
365.
I was looking at there every day. There we go.
One for every day.
365 islands. When you come out of Everett Bay, you can tuck behind some islands, and if you're going east, you can kind of stay behind some islands and get out, and if you're going west, you can follow shoreline until you can cut across and go up. We have an 1850 crestliner tiller, so we don't have a huge 22 foot with a windshield, and we've been fine out there. I'm sure that there are days where we'd be like, yeah, we probably don't want to go out today, but it is big water, but there's always places that you can tuck in. And especially where Everett Bay is located, you can always go out to the mouth and fish around those islands right out there, and there's always fish out there. There are always boats out there.
Always.
So no matter what, you can at least get out there and
get
fish.
Your limit.
But really, really good question. Yeah. Know your limits as a boater.
Mm-hmm.
Know what you're comfortable with. I think is huge. And but yeah, you can. I would say, for the most part, with our boat and me as the captain, I could get out probably most days and figure it out and get around comfortably.
So I can just add a couple things to that. Out on Big Bay here, when you're talking about big water, you're fishing a lot of rocks and reefs, and you're out kind of in the middle. We've got a trench or a ditch that goes right across the middle of the bay. You're doing a lot of spot locking, especially midsummer when you're jigging. We talked about this last time you guys were up. What I like to do is you go and trolls real slow with a spinner and a crawler on it. Then you come up to a big school of fish. You stop, you spot lock. the wind can pick up there quite a bit, and it sometimes is kind of tough. But like you said, there's always somewhere to go where it's protected, and the lake is situated in such a way where it's not, you know, like a big bowl. It's a lot of different directions of shorelines and stuff like that to tuck around.
That's a great question about. It does.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, the wind.
We were going into the today. We were like, we need to get in the wind. We want to get into the wind.
Are there any bars, restaurants close by? He doesn't want to cook. This guest says he does not want to cook for himself.
I noticed my daughter jumped on the answer to that and listed all the bars. Thank you, Nikki.
Did she list all the places?
That's very helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of places. There's a lot of places nearby. So we are located, you know, off the main 169 highway. So you can get to the Vermilion Club. It's a great bar and restaurant. You can get there by boat or by car. You can go to Tavern in the Bay. You can also get there by boat or car. Benchwarmers in Tower. They've got great food.
I think we ate
there last year. It was really good.
Yeah, and you can also get there by boat or car. There's what else? What am I?
We went to the landing. We got takeout this week.
Yep.
Yeah,
on the east,
really
on the
good.
west side of the lake.
West
The
The
landing,
west side.
the Crescent, South Switch,
There's
Wolf Bay.
ton of places.
Everett Bay Lodge. There's also Ely.
Yes,
It's 20
so
minutes
There's a
away.
lot of great restaurants up in Ely
We had
as well.
frozen pizza one night and a salad. Then we had our fish fries.
We eat healthy. Salad.
Salad.
Yes, we added our veggies in,
Yes.
which Reagan didn't eat any of those. But,
When we had pizza.
and then we ordered out. Yeah, so I'm with you. Sometimes on vacation, you're just.
Absolutely.
I don't
You
wanna
know what,
cook food.
Sarah? Next time
Really nice.
you come up for muskie fishing, we're gonna take you over to the VC and get you a bamboozler.
Oh.
That's the 20. That's the 24-inch pizza that if you eat all by yourself, you get a T-shirt.
I don't know if that T-shirt is worth it.
It's
You've
like
had a couple
far.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've
Let's
had one of
do
those
that.
before.
I don't even know if I can eat my own little personal pan. How many days do I have to eat the bamboozler? I was thinking it was some sort of adult beverage that I was going to be.
Well, they do have adult beverages as well, but
The
no, it's
bamboozler.
aged
That
wine
sounds
pizza.
dangerous.
The bamboozler.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, good, really good question. I mean, and like I talked about, I wanted to go to Target. So you're not that far away from civilization. I mean, you're really not, but it feels like it. Like where the camp is laid out, it's so nice. It's so cozy. You know, Reagan's just kind of been running around and telling Papa where they're going and what they're doing, and it's safe as can be. It's very quiet on this end, and but there's places that you can go and get food. There's golf. There's lots of things around in the area. So
Yep,
I
very
think
good.
there's some museums.
Should we give Northland away?
Sure.
All right, Northland tackle, $75 worth of fishing stuff.
Is it a gift card?
No, I think. Here's the deal. You're just going to give us your info, and Northland's going to send you a bunch of tackle that's going to catch fish.
So Northland's going to send
Nice.
you a bunch of stuff.
Simple as that.
Northland Fishing Tackle, northlandtackle.com. If you follow us, if you watch us, you know that we are big fans of Northland Tackle. We've been using it for a really long time. We use it on a lot of different applications.
Yeah.
They have really good stuff.
We're going to do, I'm just going to scroll, and who we got? Look at that. Michelle Murtis.
Michelle Murtis.
Murtis, is that right?
I don't know.
Mertes.
Murtis.
Please don't be mad.
Please don't be mad. We mispronounced. But
We
yeah,
mispronounced.
Michelle's been following us for a long time.
Yes, she has.
commenting and stuff, so, yeah.
Just tell Michelle what to do.
So Michelle-
It's Sportsman's Journal Messenger, by the way.
So Michelle, send us your information to Sportsman's Journal Messenger, and then we will pass it along to Northland, and they will ship out your prize package, $75 worth of
Yes.
fishing tackle, awesome prize package. Anything that you get is going to be phenomenal.
Yep.
And then send us that, because then we'll send you the
Hat.
Everett
Yep.
Bay
Which hat they get? What's the last one?
This
There
is
it
the
is,
last
right
hat.
there. I love it.
Which is perfect. I have one just like that in a different color when I was here last time, and I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like how it fits. And
We have another woman angler asked if there are any campsites nearby for campers or tents.
Yes, there's various campsites around the lake. Most of them have full hookups for campers. There's the Lake Vermilion State Park, which opened up just up the way on the far east end of the lake by Armstrong Bay.
There's a Lake Vermilion like association or tourism association or something.
Yeah, there's a website,
Yeah,
LakeVermilionResorts.com, and all the campsites and everything is listed on there. But there's tons all over both the east and the west side.
Okay, so now I have a question about camping. Do you guys offer would you guys let people come in with a tent, or it's just cabins only?
It's just cabins.
Yes.
Cabins
Okay.
only.
Understood.
Good question.
Another question. You guys find any color combos with your spinners to be better and size blades?
Oh, that's a good question. I remember Dave's answer to this.
What was Dave's answer?
So Dave's answer was he has different colors on everybody's rods, and then depending on which one is the hot bite is what he puts on everybody else's. And I know he said like sometimes the white will hit better on the deep side, and the chartreuse will hit better on the shallow side. So he said just make sure that everybody kind of have different color options on the boat until you find out.
Yeah, and I know red is a big color because of it matches kind of the
tan
crawdad / night crawler combo.
Yeah.
That's a big hit on Lake Vermilion.
So by all the color combinations, I can tell you what I like to use is a gold with chartreuse or gold with orange.
Yeah.
Small. I like to go slow, mile and a half tops.
Yeah, some people were going
smaller,
like 3 miles an hour last year, weren't they?
Yep, smaller the blade, the more it turns as you're going, and you can really get those lethargic fish down there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, talk about trolling real quick. What's the big thing that we didn't do as well as we should have last year? Weight on the old bottom bouncer.
Oh yeah, so we didn't have the heaviest
So
weights.
make sure you come up here with at least what, 2 ounces? Ounce and a half?
I use 2.5.
2.5.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah, I know 3 ounces was thrown out last year. Yeah, we didn't have the heavy enough bottom bouncer, so we had to go a lot slower. We were going 0.8 last year. At our top speed,
Yeah.
so we were going slower than some of what they needed, and we were catching a ton of fish. We were not low on fish, but I know. So Daryl was out fishing at the same time at one point, and they caught some really nice slot fish, and we were still catching some of those smaller fish. So I mean that's an answer too with where the big fish, versus the smaller fish, and there you go. It's just a difference of. Daryl had on heavier weights and he was going a little bit faster, triggering the bite and having those big fish come in, and we were slower and didn't have as heavy weights on, so we were getting the eater fish. So it's just change it up just a little bit, and sometimes that's going to be the difference and the key.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Dave says 2 ounces.
2 ounces, can't go wrong. That must be the sweet spot, huh? Well, if Dave says it.
If Dave says
that's
it,
all you gotta know.
Dave's going to catch the smaller fish, and I'm going to catch the bigger fish.
I was gonna say,
Daryl's teasing Dave.
go to Northland, just a simple plug, NorthlandFishingTackle.com.
NorthlandTackle.com.
They have all the bottom bouncers you want,
You can
sizes, colors.
check out their array. But yeah, bottom bouncers is a pretty well known thing, I think, out here on Lake Vermilion. So if you're coming anytime after the mayfly hatch, that's something that you're gonna want to do. You're gonna be using bottom bouncers and kind of trolling those mud flats. The fish are generally spread out,
Right.
so you want to cover water.
Do we want to say anything else? Any last parting words? We've been yakking for an hour already.
Oh, okay.
Past an hour,
Yeah,
so
no.
we're good. No, it's good.
No, yeah, I think we're wrapping up. If there's any last minute questions, but I guess just a huge thank you to Daryl and Debbie up at Everett Bay Lodge, everettbaylodge.com. Check out their website. Phenomenal accommodations. The camp is so cozy and just really nice. Great location on the lake. Lake Vermilion speaks for itself. Look at there's we could talk for several hours on Lake Vermilion fishing, but so great place. And then just check out a big thank you to the 3 sponsors that four, because Everett Bay donated the hats, but that donated the prize packages. So Freedom Baits, baits with a Z.com, veteran owned and operated. Hero Fishing, herofishing.org. Hero Fishing supports our veterans, our military service, as well as other heroes in your life. Go check out their website. And then of course Northland Tackle, northlandtackle.com, Everett Bay Lodge. So I guess that's I think that's gonna wrap us up. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And you know what? Shoot us some comments on what you want our next live to be.
Yep.
And we'll put together another one coming up. But
and I just was informed that Daryl is going to go through all the comments tonight and answer all the questions that we missed. He just kind of winked at me. and said,
Daryl's gonna answer any Everett Bay Lodge questions
Yes.
that pertaining to Everett Bay Lodge that we missed. But of course, if we did miss something, if you don't get an answer, call or go to the website, send them an email. It wasn't intentional. So thank you guys so much. We're going to go enjoy the rest of our evening. We are checking out tomorrow, so we're going to go enjoy our evening, and we'll talk to you guys all later.